In 2015, something happened in Baltimore. It was the demise of Freddie Gray. Just before that unfortunate event, we released a concept paper about urban entrepreneurship. We did not know a few days after the release of that paper that Freddie Gray's demise would happen. But this is the model that is part of that paper. You can pull the article up. It's in the Metropolitan Journal. It was published in 2017. The article was published. This is the ecosystem that we're developing. We are the hub. We are an anchor institution in West Baltimore. Everything that moves in West Baltimore economically, we should have our fingerprints on. I was so happy that the president and Senator Hayes' legislation went into effect October 1 that created the West North Avenue Development Authority. That means that anything that happens in terms of development in West Baltimore, that Coppin will be able to influence it and also work with the community to help them participate in it. I was so glad that our president is going to take leadership of that development authority because we are the hub. It's time. We are the only HBCU in the state to have that kind of arrangement because it's our time. It's our time. But this is a Coppin original. This is not any other sister institution. This is an original Coppin symbol, ecosystem symbol. These are some of the reports that we've generated. This is the one on OpenWorks, the organizational assessment and the economic impact report. You can go to greaterspacesandplaces.com, download it for free. This is our trust framework research that we're doing. Because we have a concept, again, Coppin original, relational innovations. Buckminster Fuller said that information will double by the year 2020. So if information is doubling every, I think it's 12 hours. So knowledge is doubling every 12 hours by the year 2020. So we know a lot. We have a lot of tools, we can do a lot. The one thing we haven't learned how to do is to get along. So we have a concept we call relational innovations that will hopefully help back us from the cliff of relational trauma as we become economically productive. That's what this is all about. Where are we doing that? That's happening here at Coppin. Information about, we did not only the study in 2019, but when COVID hit, and OpenWorks produced 28,000 face shields in 56 days. Let me tell you the miracle of that. They were able to turn their operation around using lean manufacturing principles and produce 28,000 face shields in 56 days for over 100 clients. Ended up with a USDA contract to produce face shields for meatpacking plants. National organizations like NVIDIA, we're part of the Nation of Makers, OpenWorks. We're externally connected because we believe not only in being connected internally with community, the corporate sector, the public sector, because that's what it takes. What have we done this year? President Jenkins started his tenure in a pandemic. May of 2020, everything was shut down. He stamped the center in December of 2020. So he made us official. Best kept secret, we have been operating off the books. We have been functioning as a center that really didn't have the stamp. We were doing everything that a center does, but we had not been declared official. So now that we are official and the handcuffs are off, we can really go. This year, in February, as part of Coppin State University Black History Month celebration, we presented a new vision for Black entrepreneurship. We did the history of entrepreneurship all the way back to the beginning of time, because it was out of Africa. along those trade routes. Africa being the richest continent on the face of the earth, it was normal and natural that trade routes would develop on that continent because there were so many resources there. The first trade center that you can find anywhere in the world is in New Guinea. Those are people of color. So it goes all the way back to when Homo civilis walked out of Africa and populated the rest of the world and set up trade centers. It goes that far back. We've been caught in a 600-year experience. A 600-year experience that we must change. So we did that in February. We had the Economic Inclusion Conference that we brought back. We did it 5 years ago. Very well attended, even though it was virtual. Many of you participated. What have we done since the spring? We launched the student organization, the CEOs. We launched the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Certificate. It's a 1-year certificate, credit-bearing upper division certificate that you can acquire in 1 year. And you don't have to be a full-time student at Coppin to acquire that certificate. We launched West Side on the Rise. Every third Wednesday at 1:30, Senator Antonio Hayes from the 40th District of Maryland, he and I have an informational webinar every month on what's happening in West Baltimore. Legislatively, in terms of what Coppin is doing. If you view the last episode, President Jenkins was our guest, and we were able to introduce him. This month, our focus will be real estate, and the chair of our Alumni Advisory Board, Ms. Hope Mims, who you just met, is the CEO, the founder of Mims Realty Group, African-American female who is the owner of a brokerage, a real estate brokerage firm. So this will, that's right, give her a hand. Our episode on West Side on the Rise will be on real estate. We are sending students to the Real Estate Master's Program over at Hopkins right now. So that story needs to be told. We had one graduate who graduated in 2020. She finished the program in May. We have another student who's there right now who will be finished the program in August of 2022. So one of them will be starting a development company. So we need to make sure that people know that story. We had a soft launch of sustainable startups because the statistics say that only 4% of black startups ever make it out of startup. 4%. That's something else that we must change. So our technical assistants will focus on startups. People say, well, why do you focus on startups? There's so many other people focusing on startups because it's such a big issue. If you start and you build in sustainability from the start, you'll be better off than if you hadn't. Also, we presented at the AAAS, that's a good partner for us. I'm on their advisory board, the HBCU Making an Innovation Showcase, and we are a sub-awardee on the University of Maryland I-Corps program. So I'm going to introduce faculty fellows to you in a minute. Regardless of where you are, if you're part of our faculty fellows program, you're going to receive I-Corps training so that you can begin to infuse entrepreneurship into not only your classroom, but what you do. Our future founders, not our future founders, our faculty fellows will also develop digital dossiers. So they'll learn how to present themselves as a product online based on your intellectual property, what it is that you're doing. So we have all of this. This is everything that we've done this year. What are we building? We all know what this is. This is the new College of Business. This is the construction that's happening right on the corner. We should walk into that building late 2022, early 2023. We will be in this building. You can see it's a marvelous space. The center has a significant footprint on the first floor of that building. It's right on the corner of North and Warwick, so it's community facing. This courtyard will be able to have outside activities. You'll see state-of-the-art classrooms, state-of-the-art conference room. So it will be a facility that is worthy of the community's patronage. So we're looking forward to moving into that building. This week, so today we're at the Kickoff event. You're learning about what we've done, what we're doing, and what we plan to do. On Wednesday, we have 2 sessions at 1 o'clock, I do believe. One will be delivered by PNC Bank. I think Austin is going to talk about, he's going to talk to our young entrepreneurs about the importance of having a banking relationship. It's one thing to have it on your phone as an app, but if you're going to be in business, you want to walk in and have somebody say, "How are you today, Mr. So-and-so?" If you need a bridge loan, you want to be able to know people by first. You need a banking relationship, not an app on your phone. That's what we must learn. Also, Baltimore Community Lending is going to present on access to capital. That's on Wednesday. On Thursday at 1 o'clock, this is where our academic gifts and talents will be on display, because we are having a poster session by faculty and staff. They're going to present their entrepreneurial ideas at faculty, staff, students, and they will be judged. There will be a winner. We will have visitors. I believe Carver is bringing 25 students for that event. So our K through 12 reach, we'll be working on that. So they will be here. Then at 1:45, as we transition from the poster event, our 5 African founders panel will present their entrepreneurial journeys. We want to thank Bruce Dunhams again and Innovation Factory for organizing our panelists for that day. And there happen to be 5 African female founders as well. So let's give Bruce another big hand. And then on Friday, of course, we're going to put it all together in a digital dossier so you can see the highlights of the week. What's under development? And this is my last slide, and I'll answer some questions if you have them. What's under development? I'm so glad that our partners from Baltimore City Public Schools are here this morning, because one of the projects is our Future Founders Literacy Program, where we will go into the primary grades and we will supply entrepreneurs that will utilize the existing curriculum to read stories and to interpret them through an entrepreneurial lens, so that entrepreneurial thinking can be infused even all the way down to the primary grades. That's the program that we are launching. Our Faculty Fellows Research Program, because teaching, research, and service, that's our primary activities here, because we're an academic institution. So faculty from across disciplines will be able to serve as faculty fellows to the center, so that we can engage in research and we can produce reports and studies that will help to advance entrepreneurial pursuits. Partners in education, that's our middle school and high school engagement. Over the summer, I was able to present to students who were part of the Youth Works program with Park Heights Renaissance organization, and also Dent Education. Our young people are hungry for information related to entrepreneurship, and they have brilliant ideas. We just have to provide them a lane. So we'll be engaging with the entire K through 12 community. Earn while you learn. One thing that we discovered, because we did a feasibility study and assessment before we got started, because we're business school people and we believe in entrepreneurship, that's just how we approach things. So, one reality is that this is a crowded market. Every institution has an entrepreneurship center. So how are you going to be different from anybody else? And how is what you do, how is that going to change the trajectory? How are you going to move the needle? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to differentiate ourselves. That's what business people do when you're in a crowded market. You differentiate yourself by plugging into sectors that will create opportunities. One sector that we're plugging into is the manufacturing sector. Well, why did you choose the manufacturing sector? One, we have reach into that sector. Two, that sector is wide open. There was a deficit of skill and talent even prior to the pandemic. They needed about 2 million workers just prior to the pandemic. And because the pandemic exposed the vulnerability of the supply chain, we now know that it's a national security issue if manufacturing is not reshored to the United States. Well, guess what? We do not have a prepared workforce. We need everybody. We cannot afford to exclude anybody anymore. What must we help them do? Develop the primary skill, the main skill that's necessary in the 21st century, to learn. We have to prepare learners. So manufacturing has an insatiable appetite that will be there for decades. Look at the legislation that's coming out of Washington right now. Every piece of legislation has 2 pieces of information in it. 1, manufacturing, 2, HBCUs. I don't know when this opportunity will come along again. But for the next 2 or 3 decades, the manufacturing sector, advanced manufacturing, and here it is, the hyper focus on STEM. No, they need every discipline. Every discipline. They need the creatives because of design thinking and the necessary to be creative and innovative. They need everybody. So manufacturing is one, real estate is another. Our students can get entry-level credentials in manufacturing and can get a real estate license and flip a house and pay for the entire semester. You won't have to drop out, stop out. You won't have to get a job with hope. Hope's not in the head. So we need to give our students those kinds of credentials so that they can earn while they learn. Earn as early as possible. If you can learn to code at 13, then turn that into revenue. We're going to move in the first floor. These are the programs that are on the horizon. What I wanted you to see is that we've done a lot of work. Part of our philosophy is to build a wall, 1 brick at a time, before the rest of the world ever realizes that construction is even started. So we've been building a wall. Now it's time to let the world know what you've been doing. Now you see it, so that they can line up and get on board, and so we can move the needle for the next generation. I've been here 25 years. I'm still excited about my job. I still love what I do. I'm focused on trying to do something and do it so it can't be easily undone. So that when you're done, you leave something that's going to help somebody else.